Hey everyone! We're going to spend today loosening up our shoulders. And actually, let's start lying down. So go somewhere comfortable. You'll see here I have a fitness mat. You might actually be in bed or on a regular yoga mat. You could possibly be on the couch, but we'll need some room side to side to really spread our arms out. And then when you're ready, we can close our eyes and let's settle in. Spending some time here taking deep breaths. And we'll use this time to sort of transition from our regular day's work of doing, going here and there, thinking, and shifting our brains into yoga time. Might take some final fidgets. And we're going to roll to one side and we'll loosen up the top shoulder. So let's start with some big juicy shoulder rolls. We can let that top arm be limp. And we'll just circle it, squeeze it up to the ear, and then roll it down and back. And we'll keep moving in this direction, so up to the ear and then towards the back and down. Warming up the shoulder joint, give it some good big squeezes. We're going to keep increasing the range of motion. So let's bend the arm in half, same thing, big juicy circles. So now we'll keep the shoulder in place, so our shoulder blade can keep that sliding down and back spot in place, but we'll circle the arm. And feel free to stay with this range of motion, or even the first range of motion the whole time, but I'll keep giving us different options. And I invite you to move more slowly, more mindfully, through any tighter spots that you go through. So you might have some resistance in certain spots, feels kind of clunky or crunchy. We can spend a little longer there, moving more slowly. And then they have the option to open the elbow to 90 degrees, again increasing the range of motion. So we have a longer lever, as we often call it, or if you will, lever, which can just put more strain on the body. That might be a good thing or a bad thing for you, so listen to the shoulder. We also have the option to add a bit of a twist as we roll back. It doesn't matter if you stay on one side or if you add that twist, but let's make it a conscious decision. So choosing whichever feels best. Again, moving slowly through those tight, sticky spots. Maybe slow as molasses, maybe even pausing. And then finally, we have the option to straighten the arm completely. And let's just notice what's going on with the range of motion in your shoulder. So I always like to point out that I was a swimmer and I'm pretty mobile and I teach yoga classes, so your range of motion probably looks nothing like mine. Keep in mind what you do all day. Do you stretch all day? Do you sit at a keyboard? Have you had recent surgery in and around the shoulder? So let's be kind about whatever's going on in the shoulder and choosing the most beneficial range of motion and movement that you can here today. Maybe flexing the wrist, that can add a lot more sensation. So here we have it flexed sort of yoga, like a plank, or we can do it like we're showing our manicure to somebody. whole time we just keep sweeping through. You might be moving much more slowly than me. I tend to be sort of a fast mover. And let's polish this off by coming into a twist. So the next time the arm's in behind your back, let's roll open into a supine twist. We'll probably have to do a little bit of a shimmy with the shoulders to flatten out. We might like to bend the elbows rather than having a straight arm. But we should be pretty passive here, allowing ourselves to settle down and give in to gravity. Now, if you find that your arms are sort of awkwardly hovering, that's okay if it feels great, but we might also like to drop the arm in behind the back so it can rest on the floor, or rest the arm on the body. In all these different variations, we've still rolled the top shoulder open into a twist, so we're still lengthening all the same muscles. It's just a different range of motion. Now let's practice our powers of curiosity, rolling onto the back and seeing how one shoulder feels different from the other one here. Doesn't really matter, it's just sort of something interesting to note after we've gone through this whole process. And let's go ahead and get onto the other side. So I'm going to flip so you can see me. Depending on where you are, you might be flipping so that you have your back to me, but we're going to go through the same sequence again, of course, on this side. Getting comfortable lying on our sides. Settling in. Let's go ahead and go through those juicy shoulder rolls. So the top arm is limp, like overcooked linguine. Squeeze the shoulder up to the neck. Move it to the back and release down. So since most of our work during the day is reaching forward, we do this sequence to balance out that movement, focusing on reaching backwards. Now let's go ahead, slide shoulder down and back, and we'll take the elbow to the sky and circle it around here. Moving slowly and mindfully, moving even more slowly through those really tight and sticky spots. You might like to get curious about why they are tight and sticky. There may be something you've been up to recently that tightened up this area. We just had tax season. Maybe you've spent long hours at the computer. Maybe you've done some kind of athletics. And then, of course, any kind of surgery or injury will really tighten things up. Or maybe you're feeling really loose and smooth on this side. Go ahead and bring the elbow to 90. So if that first version was much happier for the shoulder, feel free to stay there, remembering that everything we go through together, they're just different options. I'm sort of like a tour guide, and you decide where you'd like to go. No matter what's going on in the shoulder, being kind and compassionate. Sometimes we come into movements and we blame ourselves. Oh, my shoulder's so tight. Bad shoulder. but we actually need tension in the body. And of course we can balance that tension out with movements like this. Feel free to add a twist whenever you're ready. It's kind of interesting to feel the evolution of what we're doing. So little by little, moment by moment, noticing the sensation in the body starts to change. Kind of an interesting process to sit back and observe. And maybe this is your 10th time doing this. Might be interesting to look back over the previous 9 times that you've done this movement and just see what's going on. How's that process happening in the body? And if we haven't already, let's go ahead and straighten the arm. We can spread the fingers to have some muscular tension. We also have the option to flex the wrist, sort of like we're in a plank in yoga or like we're showing off our manicure. Feeling out whichever one you think is most beneficial today. We are going to polish this off, finishing in a supine twist. So let's go ahead and do another sweep around and back, and then we'll meet lying on our backs in some variation of a supine twist. Adding any of those variations that you like, bending the elbows, adjusting the shoulders, and if you're less on your back and more on your side, and the arm's kind of awkwardly hanging, of course we can rest the arm in behind the back, or rest the arm on the body. We're still getting a bit of twist through the spine, the top shoulder rolling back. Noticing how that twisted range of motion feels for you. One more time, let's get curious. We'll come to lie on our backs, seeing what kind of changes, or maybe no changes at all, you're feeling in the shoulders from 5 minutes ago till now, and from one shoulder to the other. Let's switch gears here a bit. We'll come to lie on our backs and we'll do some hip openers. You can stay wherever you are that it makes sense. I'm going to flip around so you can see me a little bit better. So let's go ahead and take one leg over the other. You might remember this position from gym class, and we'll sway side to side. So in yoga, we often call this leg position pigeon. So we'll go through a pigeon flow in a couple of different positions. For now, let's go side to side. We could do a small range of motion or large. Feeling out whatever range of motion seems to be best for your body today. From day to day, we're a little different, of course. And today you might want to do a smaller range of motion that might feel more soothing and relaxing. And sometimes counterintuitive, the tighter we are, the larger the range of motion needs to be. And we'll bring the leg to tip all the way to one side. So here I have my left knee on top. I'm going to drop my left knee towards the floor. It might not touch the floor, that's okay, that's not really important, but we're bringing it towards the end range of motion. We could open the arms to T again, bend the elbows, or leave them alongside the body. Let's take a couple deep breaths here, feeling the open space we've created. And then we'll do the same on the other side, tipping the opposite way. So I'm taking my left foot to land on the right side of my body. My right hand can reach for my right ankle, and then my left arm can be up overhead, out in T, alongside the body, maybe even hand on belly or ribs to focus on your breath. So let's come back to center, and we'll finish with a variation of thread the needle. So you may have done this in gym class. And we can hold heel and knee. Some people like to hold the shin or reach in behind the right thigh. This one's not so great for any kind of cranky fingers, arthritis, that sort of thing. So I usually go for knee and heel, or maybe we cradle the baby, giving our leg a big hug. We can rock side to side. This is quite a large range of motion. Again, let's be reasonable about what's going on in our hips and our bodies. It's tougher if you have shorter arms. Long arms can be a big help for a lot of yoga poses, but no matter where we are, we can invite that rock or circle into our bodies. These kind of flowing movements can help our bodies to be safe and relaxed and release a bit more tension than if we just held still. And of course, let's breathe. It might be of interest to pause in the center before we switch sides. Seeing how one hip or leg feels different than the other. And we'll switch sides. I'm going to flip around so you can see me from a different angle, and I'm just going to roll up my right pant leg so you can see which leg I'm working on a little bit easier. Sometimes as we get twisted it's a bit confusing. So my right leg is the rolled up side. That's our second side that we'll do now. We'll come into that original position, ankle over thigh, and we'll start our sway. Moving slowly through any tight and sticky spots. Doing whatever we need to do here to get the most out of our time together. Eventually bringing the right knee to drop on the right side, working towards the floor, even if we don't necessarily make it all the way to the floor, still moving in that same range of motion. Maybe reaching the arms up and out of the way helps us to take a deeper breath, feeling our ribs expand side to side. So often we only focus on chest breathing or belly breathing. It's important to be able to breathe laterally as well. In your own time, we'll switch sides. Right foot coming to land on the left side. The left hand can grab left ankle. And the right arm can reach wherever it's comfortable. Up and out of the way, out to the side, maybe hand on ribs or belly to better focus on our breathing. So since we do have one arm free, you might be more aware of that expansion out to the side here, rather than just breathing into chest or belly. And again, we'll come onto our backs, finishing in that thread the needle position, whichever variation you like. Reaching behind the thigh, holding heel and knee. We can cradle the baby, reaching around the right shin. The one thing that we do want to avoid here is yanking on the right foot, sort of pulling it at an awkward angle. There aren't any benefits to that, and some potential risks, so let's just keep the foot in neutral, same as it would be if we were standing on the ground, no matter what variation we pick here. And we can add that soothing rock side to side, making any adjustments as we go, listening to the body and responding appropriately. And once you're ready to unwind, we'll come onto our backs again for a moment here, checking back in, seeing how everything's feeling. You may or may not be aware of a real change of sensation in the hips and shoulders, but maybe we notice a difference to our mind state, breath, or something else going on mentally, physically, spiritually, or on any other level. And for today, let's finish in a supported back bend. So you'll see I have a bolster here, but you could use a rolled up mat or a towel, really whatever you have around the house. And we'll place it in line with the spine. And we'll pull it up. We don't really want it quite touching the bum before we lie down. We need a bit of space to keep the spine a little happier. And then once we're there, we can make any of these fidgets or adjustments to settle down. Legs can be bent or straight, and it might actually be nice to flow through a butterfly flow to loosen up the hips to help us come into stillness. Opening and closing the knees, making any other shifts. And you'll know when you find the right spot. I'd make some snow angels here to help loosen up the shoulders. And then once you do find that right spot, there's sort of a sigh and release that happens in the body, and it's ready to settle in. Knowing, of course, that maybe none of these, we can, of course, bring hands to body to better feel our breath, to belly or chest or whatever that might mean for you. And when we're ready to settle into stillness, let's settle into stillness. Feel free to stay here for as long as you like. Maybe longer than the length of this video. And maybe we notice we're sort of holding on to ourselves here, gripping, keeping some tension in the body. Let's invite that to release. Again, maybe imagining our bodies as overcooked linguine. Scanning the body head to toe, seeing wherever we're gripping and holding tension, and remembering that the earth is holding us up. And to the earth, we are light as a feather, easy to support. And the more we settle in, maybe we make some more fidgets, turn the head side to side. With every exhale, feeling how heavily we settle into the surface beneath you. And when we're ready to come off, if you have quite a high bolster, or even if you're just using a rolled up towel, the easiest is usually to come to roll to one side and push ourselves up from there. So we roll off the bolster. Might like to pause on one side. If you're in bed, maybe we fall asleep. That's okay too. Thank you so much for joining me. From my light to yours, namaste.